something amazing happened back in 2017. Silver Link thought that it would be super fun to compress a 60-hour visual novel into a 12-episode anime. Now, this might come as a surprise to you, but that anime turned out to be hot slop, and that anime happens to be called Chaos Child. And then something else amazing happened shortly after that anime finished airing. P-Cube announced that they were working on the official English localization of the aforementioned 60-hour visual novel, which, keep in mind, at this point has been out in Japan for about 3 years. Considering the notorious lack of popularity visual novels tend to have in the West, nobody doubted that this could have been risky territory. But, you know, people know and love its fellow semicolon series Steins Gate, so, you know, maybe a miracle could happen. Spoiler alert, a miracle did not happen. That horrific anime was still pretty fresh in everyone's minds, and if there's one thing that can hurt a visual novel's Western sales worse than being a visual novel, it's having a bad anime adaptation. But a horrible anime and desolate sales numbers weren't enough to stop the many devoted fans of this visual novel from shilling it every chance they were given. And so, here we are now, early 2019. Chaos Child has just been ported to Steam on this very day. I've been provided with a review copy of this game by Spike Chunsoft, and with that, and my status as one of the aforementioned devoted fans of this visual novel, I'm here to tell you that the anime is not at all representative of what this visual novel is like, and that you should really consider playing it and enjoying its narrative the way it was meant to be experienced. Allow me to explain. Okay, so first I gotta deal with the elephant in the room, and that elephant is that lovely little semicolon in Chaos Child's title. More specifically, it's what that semicolon makes Chaos Child related to. It's one of the many entries in the highly acclaimed science adventure series, which is without a doubt most well known for being the series that Chaos Child's much more famous cousin Steins Gate is from. But do you need to have watched or played Steins Gate to play Chaos Child? And for that matter, you might have noticed that there's another one here with the word chaos in its title, Chaos Head. Do you need to be familiar with Chaos Head at all? And the answer to both of these is no. You can make Chaos Child your entry point into the science adventure series and be totally fine. Although, for the record, it does add a lot to the experience if you're already familiar with the science adventure series, but especially Chaos Head, since it's much more closely related to Chaos Child than any of the other science adventure titles. So in short, although I'd say it's definitely a better experience if you've already gone through the Chaos Head visual novel, the anime is not worth it. It's not necessary to do that, and you can jump into science adventure through Chaos Child and be fine. But enough about that. Let's talk about Chaos Child and what this wonderful little... No, actually, that's a lie. There is nothing little about this visual novel. Anyways, let's talk about what this wonderful visual novel is about. You play as an aspiring high school journalist with a penchant for daydreaming named Takuru. A series of particularly brutal murders are happening around Shibuya, and Takuru wants to find out why. You'll spend Chaos Child digging deeper into these mysterious murders, trying to connect the dots, trying to figure out who's doing this and why, and ultimately you're gonna try to stop them before they stop you. And when you're not doing any of that, you'll find yourself daydreaming quite a bit. There's this mechanic called the delusion trigger, where basically Takuru will start daydreaming about what could happen next in a given scenario that's happening to him. You have the choice of whether you want these delusions to be good or bad, or if you want to ignore it altogether. Oftentimes you'll find that whichever you choose, you're in for an over-the-top scene that, for better or for worse, can make or break the mood. Yeah, some of these are definitely better than others, but that's beside the point. After you beat this game once, your delusion choices can also set you up for different routes and endings, so choose wisely after you get to that common end. But anyways, how about genre? We've got this far into the review, and I haven't even mentioned the story genre yet. If that plot description didn't make it obvious enough, yes, even though science is in the name of its series, Chaos Child is more mystery and horror than anything else. I mean, yeah, there's still sci-fi in there, and plenty of it for that matter, but it definitely takes a backseat to the mystery more often than not. And by extension, this isn't a game I'd recommend to anyone who doesn't have at least a decent tolerance for gore. Not only is there just a lot of blood and guts in this game, but they get pretty creative and pretty graphic about the deaths, and it's definitely not for the faint of heart. You have been warned. But I got a review copy of Chaos Child to talk about the Steam version specifically, and so the Steam version I shall talk about. To the disappointment of pretty much everyone, the map is still untranslated, and I'm told that it's because of legal reasons. But fear not, there is a link to a translated version of it by Committee of Zero that I'm leaving in the description. Thank you, Cullen, for showing this to me, because trust me, you'll need it. The only noticeable differences in the Steam port are that the base price of the game is now lower, and that there's a few bits of extra dialogue that have now been translated. So that being considered, yeah, I guess I'd say that the Steam port is better. But whatever platform you may choose, I really hope that you consider giving this visual novel a shot. I really enjoyed Chaos Child, and I deeply regret how overlooked it gets just because of its anime. If you've seen the anime, I promise you it's nothing like the visual novel. This is leagues better. And if you haven't seen the anime, keep it that way. Trust me, you're way better off. I don't want to call Chaos Child underrated since the people who have played it tend to love it, but I'm still gonna call it underrated just because of how often it gets overlooked despite being so closely related to arguably the most popular visual novel in the English-speaking market right now. So yeah, you should give it a try. And now that it's on Steam and more accessible than ever, not to mention cheaper than ever, I mean, come on, there's no reason to not give it a try. Actually, let me rephrase that. Please give it a try. I want robotics notes to come out in English too.